don't think I'm a farmer, I consider myself more a grower.
Come from the earth, we return to earth, and between the garden.
This was, I think, pasture or something. There's an old barbed wire fence around it, and the only sign of humans, other than the loggers when I bought it, was my son discovered the spring, Salamander Springs. There are 4 springs we've discovered since I bought one. We only knew about the creek, but the spring, Salamander Springs, is really good, fresh, and it's never went dry. We're in a drought right now, but the 4 springs have always flowed. So there's salamanders, there's a whole ecosystem in there.
Salamander Springs has been around this area for about 20 years. When Debbie Wall moved to this area from LaGrange, and she brought with her an intentional design to create a permaculture garden. And that's a step above sustainable or organic. It means that we're rehabilitating the surface so that the food there can continue to grow. It's a very intentional way of looking at land for the future and future generations. It involves a lot of reconditioning soil, and she picked a place that was gifted in its surface water, so that's why it's called springs, and salamander because they have salamanders there. But what she's been able to do is bring in new organic layers and bring in plants that have been selected to increase the nitrogen content in the soil. And she is trying to recondition and make the ground better than it was left when she purchased it.
It's secluded from the outside world a lot. Debbie's property is a mile from the road, so less traffic noise, and it's just beautiful.
I always have been a tree hugger my whole life, and then growing up in the 70s and very influenced by the whole movement. I was too young, but still influenced by the Vietnam War, had a profound effect on my philosophy. I had a lot of mentors. I read Helen and Scott Nearing and Wendell Berry, and there's a lot of people who, like the Nearings, wrote about the good life, living the good life, and their ideas were simplicity. And back in the day, we were influenced by Henry David Thoreau with his ideas of simplicity, and it just made sense to me to live in community and to do things for yourself. But the goal of Salamander Springs is for young people to have a place where they can discover that they can do anything and to get in touch with nature. Because if they don't, how are they going to care about it? It's really important that you care about your water and the forest and all the beings that are alive on the planet.
What we have seen are a perpetuation of increased temperatures both on land and water. We see variability in precipitation. That's especially important. It's not like we're going to get more or less rain, but we might get more deluges with intermediate droughts, and that's devastating because we're going to have to select a whole new type of plant that can survive those type of extended dry periods between rainstorms. And even more importantly, we're going to have to figure out ways to condition the soil to accept the heavy rains that come during a major storm.
You can see, I think, changes that you didn't ever think you would see this quickly. I know we've always had drought, but we're in a drought right now. This time, and it's bad this time of year, but we've always had drought. But we have the rains when they do come are causing more erosion than when this land was clear cut. I had to really work on erosion because the logging roads, they just go straight down, So I had to come up with methods to try to slow the water down. And down in the garden, I have berms and swales to slow it down. But I just noticed now, and possibly also not just climate change, but everyone's clear cut around me at least once. All of the properties I'm in the middle of, they've all been clear cut, including the cemetery over here. And so with losing all of that forest, and then also just the rains are so hard that there's a lot of erosion now. And the weather's we don't know when's the first frost, when's the last frost. We don't know you don't know what's going to happen with the weather. So it's unpredictable. Well, we have bananas. You saw the bananas on our banana tree. So climate change, I'm going to have bananas pretty soon. And then hopefully other tropical fruit here in middle Georgia.
Here's my hope. I I don't get this wish. I haven't gotten it in my lifetime. But I want the price of petroleum to continue to increase. I want gas and diesel to be more expensive, because that would do two big things. It would reduce our reliance on cheap transportation to move food in from other places, so that people who farm locally would have a comparative, they would at least get a step up. They may not have an advantage over large-scale industrial farmers, but at least they could show up at farmers markets and people would begin to value what they have worked to produce. The other thing, of course, it would do is provide for alternatives. And we have an amazing alternative here to work with alternative fuel sources such as biofuels. We can recoup things like grease from fryers. We can recoup some of the chaff that falls on the ground. We can harvest different parts of the trees that we've cut. There's so many things that Georgia could be preeminent on if only there was a market for some of these alternative energy sources coming out of the products that right now we either just burn in an open pile or push in a ditch somewhere.
The reason this forest is so meaningful to so many people is because so many people have put so much energy into it that I think we're all connected. We're all connected.
And I believe that your generation is going to help us continue to ask for the products that we really want. I think we all want good food. We want it to be affordable. I like it when it's local and I get to meet the people who eat it. And I really like it when it tastes good and it's more nutritious than the stuff that you have to buy at the store now. Can I do all that while creating a community of people who also respect the land and want to go and visit the farm? Absolutely.
So through the WOOF program, people come and work with me and they learn how to grow. Well, as I said, one of my woofers, when she left here, she felt like she could do anything. So you learn everything, you learn to connect with the forest, hopefully, and care about it. You learn to work with other people. You learn to use what you have, because everything out here just about is built out of found scavenged materials. I'm a big scavenger. I just scavenge that clay from an art studio to rehydrate so we can burn at the kiln, and all the lumber. So everything out here is built out of materials. So learning how to build with what you have, learning how to cook with what you have, because everybody prepares meals together, learning how to think of others, don't put yourself first, because a lot of times you won't see what you're going. If you plant the garden and you're only here a month, then you're not going to enjoy the fruits of it. We just got nonprofit status, so we want to start having workshops in the spring, like how to grow your own organic food with zero money. You don't want to, because I taught at Central Georgia Tech, and there's a big need. I feel like that a lot of people were asking me, both teachers and students, when I left, how do I get started on a garden? So I'd like to have workshops on, you don't need any money, you just need a shovel, and you can start small. And I want to do workshops on how to grow your own food, composting, and just a lot of different, I have a lot of friends who do different things, and they could add their skills.
Don't have to worry about the city lights. It's a lot quieter, more peaceful.
Up here, all this growth is the last 28 years. It looked like an atomic bomb has dropped on, like I said, because there were piles of debris, logs.
We all get a chance to vote with what we buy. And while it may cost us a little bit more in the moment, it's going to be healthier for us and it's going to be better for the world down the road.
It's my responsibility to take care of this planet and its inhabitants. And Jeremy Rifkin said that the scientists might be right, it might be too late, we might have gone too far to reverse the effects of climate change. But he said, which would you rather be doing? Would you rather be working toward the solution, or would you rather just say, it's too late, we can't do anything? Which makes you happier? And which makes more sense, because might as well keep plugging along, right, and trying to do good, because otherwise I don't think you'd be very happy if you just said, let me just go out and make as much money as I can. Be it. I'm not a good capitalist anyway, so that won't work too well.
Okay.